the Lenovo Y40 laptop. A gaming laptop I bought in 2014 because I wanted something thin, light, and that I could bring to school and also do gaming on, and probably the reason you're on this channel. The Lenovo Y40, when it came out, was kind of a revolutionary laptop in my opinion, because at the time, if you wanted like a thin and light laptop that wasn't really like underpowered, you had to pay literally like $3 for a Razer blade, because back then that's how much the Razer blade cost. But then the Lenovo Y40 came out, and basically when it came out it was $900, and what you were getting was a pretty thin and fairly light gaming laptop that wouldn't break the bank. That is basically why I bought it. So on this laptop, you basically get a pretty good keyboard. I mean, it's not really the best. I would say this keyboard is slightly above average. Lenovo is known for making pretty good keyboards on their laptops if you look at all their ThinkPad series, and I unfortunately wouldn't say that this laptop has nearly as good a keyboard as most of those laptops. In fact, it doesn't even have backlit keys, which when the computer came out was kind of a big thing a lot of people wanted, and a lot of people thought, based on the pictures on Lenovo's website, that they were going to get backlit keys. So that kind of caused a problem for some people. The touchpad is pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie. It's one of the better touchpads I've used on the various laptops I've used over the years. I'd say it's not quite as good as like a MacBook or something, but it's definitely better than your run-of-the-mill touchpad. But to be honest, I don't really use it. I just tend to plug in a mouse, and I'm guessing that's probably what many of you do as well. About the screen. When it first came out, a lot of people were saying the screen was absolute crap. And you know, if we're talking about photo editing or color correction, then yeah, it is kind of crap. But for everyday viewing, I'd say that it's passable. I mean, if you look at this test I have right here, the minute I start changing the viewing angle on the computer, you can kind of see that that monitor starts kind of falling apart. But if you're just looking at normal viewing angles, it'll be fine. It's not as though it's some kind of 480p panel. But definitely for a computer this expensive, well, it's obviously way cheaper now, but when I got it, it was this expensive, you'd probably kind of want a better screen. Lenovo seems to have kind of improved in this area in the further laptops they've made over the years, but unfortunately when the Y40 came out in 2014, they obviously weren't thinking about a very good display. So I know that one of the hugest reasons people buy this laptop is for gaming. And when I bought it, it was actually really good for gaming. I used to play a ton of games, CSGO, Minecraft, and honestly, it worked pretty well. I mean, it's not some huge gaming desktop, but for just getting games done and getting them to run, you know, smoothly, the thing did its job. But unfortunately, when Windows 10 came around, the graphics became severely bottlenecked. And there's been several driver updates from AMD over the years, but none of them seem to have actually addressed this issue. And what I found is that when, you can see in this test right here, when you get Minecraft on and you put VSync on, the game never gets past 40 frames a second. And with VSync off, it will get past 40 frames a second, but there'll be a lot of tearing because for whatever reason, the computer now thinks that the max it can go is 40 FPS. So, and I've seen this problem on several other games since Windows 10, so at this point, I really would not recommend upgrading to Windows 10 if you have the Y40 right now. Stick to Windows 8.1. Really guys, if you're gaming, don't upgrade to Windows 10 on this computer. It's just really not going to do you any favors. Video editing, on the other hand, is another story. For standard 1080p video editing, which is what most of you probably do, in Premiere Pro, I'm able to use the computer pretty effectively. I'm able to color correct, do normal edits, do cuts, just, you know, normal kind of stuff. And with, like I said, with some color correction, which is a little bit more intensive, and with some different types of animations and such, the computer all holds up fine. You're not going to be able to play back your clips at full resolution, but if you stay at about 1/2 or 1/4 resolution in playback, the computer does really fine in Premiere Pro. And I've also tested the computer in Sony Vegas. I can say that the computer runs even smoother when using Sony Vegas. But for video editing, I'd say the computer's pretty capable. Render times were actually not really that bad. They're not quite, again, what you're gonna be getting with a gaming desktop, but for the price, it's hard to argue with this performance for video editing. And because basically any computer after 2012 can do this super well, the computer's also great at audio editing. But then again, most computers are. Some solutions to some of the problems that I have addressed in this review is you could just plug the computer into a monitor, which is basically what I've done here. I got this Asus monitor for 185 bucks like 2 years ago when I got the laptop, and it stayed really consistent and provided a really great viewing experience, and you can plug that in right over HDMI, and you basically get somewhat of a desktop level experience. So if you guys have this laptop, I would really recommend spending a little bit of money on a monitor because it'll really make your display experience just that much better. So in conclusion, I guess the best thing I could say is that I wouldn't really recommend this laptop anymore. Unless you can get it for a really good deal, say someone's trying to sell it to you used, or you catch a really good deal, I just can't say this laptop is something I'd recommend. I'll continue to use it because I've had it for a while and I'm not looking to get a new laptop and it's been fine, but in 2016, I can't say I really recommend it. But again, that's exactly what you can usually expect after a laptop is 2 years old, but I would say that I think that Lenovo really could have done a little better job keeping this laptop up to date and not letting that issue with the graphics actually happen. I think that that's something that a company of their size really should have addressed. But then again, I guess we can all wish, right? If you like this review and you'd like to see more like it, then just consider checking out the rest of the channel, because I got a lot more reviews in the future. If you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a like, and if you disliked it, well, you know what to do. This is Christian from Erickson Films, and I want to thank you guys so much for watching.